Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and today we're highlighting a case out of Aiken County, South Carolina. One that shows how quickly relationship violence can escalate, even when someone tries to reach out for help. On December 2nd, 2023, a 30-year-old mother of two called 911 twice in one day. In her final call, she told dispatchers that her ex-boyfriend had broken into her home and was chasing her down the road. The dispatcher could hear her screaming. The phone dropped, but the call continued. Dispatchers could still hear what was happening on the other end. And after that, she was not heard from again. This is the story of Jamilla Millie Smith. Jamilla Shanae Smith, known to many as Millie, was 30 years old and living in Aiken County, South Carolina. She was a mother of two. She was someone her family and children relied on. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Millie was in a relationship that had become violent. She had been dating a man named Daniel Gabriel Harmon, her ex-boyfriend, and the man who would later become the primary suspect in her murder. According to prosecutors, on November 9, 2023, just weeks before Millie disappeared, Harmon threatened her with a knife. Prosecutors said Millie's children were present during that incident. The following day, court records show Millie took photographs of her injuries, including cuts and bruises, documenting the abuse she was enduring. On the morning of December 2nd, 2023, Millie called 911 from Interstate 20. Around the same time, someone passing through the area also called 911, reporting a woman standing between a vehicle and a guardrail. Investigators would later confirm both calls involved Millie. That evening, around 8:48 p.m., Millie made her second 911 call of the day. This time, she was calling from her home on Old Jackson Highway in Aiken County. She told the dispatcher that Daniel Harmon had broken into her house and that he was chasing her down the road. According to dispatch records and arrest warrants, the dispatcher could hear Millie screaming. She could be heard saying she didn't want to be touched and that she was being hurt. The phone dropped, but the dispatcher could still hear audio on the line. The call eventually ended. That was the last time anyone heard from Millie Smith. By the next day, December 3rd, Millie's family still hadn't heard from her. She didn't show up as expected, and those close to her knew that something was wrong. Her mother reported her missing. Investigators said they were looking for Daniel Harmon, the man named in the 911 calls, as part of their investigation. At that point, Harmon could not be located. On December 5th, 2023, investigators located a black Dodge Charger parked in front of a home on Carpentersville Road in North Augusta. The vehicle was linked to Daniel Harmon. After law enforcement made contact at the home, Harmon was taken into custody inside. He was initially arrested for second-degree domestic violence. When investigators searched the vehicle, they found blood inside the trunk. On December 23, 2023, after reviewing the 911 calls and forensic evidence from the vehicle, prosecutors upgraded the charges. Daniel Harmon was charged with kidnapping and murder. At that point, Millie had still not been found. As the investigation continued, digital evidence began to tell its own story. Prosecutors said Daniel Harmon's cell phone data placed him in a wooded area of Aiken County. His phone records also showed stops at a Home Depot and Lowe's in North Augusta. When investigators searched a wooded location linked to that phone data, they found tarps stained with blood. On April 19, 2024, a second man turned himself in. Brian Alexander Hampton Jr., a 35-year-old from Augusta, Georgia, was charged with accessory after the fact to murder. According to arrest warrants, Hampton provided transportation and cell phones to Daniel Harmon. Prosecutors said Hampton later told authorities that Harmon admitted he, quote, messed up and ran Millie over. On May 2, 2024, a third man was arrested. Clyde James Henley II, a 46-year-old from Bath, South Carolina, was also charged with accessory after the fact to murder. Prosecutors said Daniel Harmon paid Henley between $2,000 and $5,000 to help conceal her remains. At the time, Henley was wearing an electronic monitor, which investigators said helped them track his movements to an area linked to the case. In early May 2024, more than 5 months after Millie disappeared, investigators returned to a wooded area off Silver Bluff Road in Aiken County. This time, they found human remains. Aiken County Coroner Daryl Abels confirmed the remains belonged to Jamilla Millie Smith. An autopsy later determined the cause of death. It was determined to be caused by gunshot wounds to the head. When questioned by investigators, Daniel Harmon gave multiple conflicting accounts. First, he claimed he was taking Millie to the emergency room. Later, he said Millie tried to shoot him and that the gun discharged during a struggle. Prosecutors said his statements did not match the physical evidence or the 911 recordings. On December 19, 2025, nearly 2 years after Millie lost her life, Daniel Harmon stood in court. He pleaded guilty to murder and kidnapping. He was sentenced to 45 years in prison for murder and 30 years for kidnapping, to be served concurrently. That means a total sentence of 45 years in prison. At the sentencing hearing, Millie's family spoke. Her mother, her grandmother, and stepfather described the pain of losing her and the lasting impact her death has had on her children. Harmon apologized and asked for forgiveness. But Millie's mother made it clear that his words were not enough. She said, "He doesn't seem remorseful. He tried to say sorry, but his actions don't say sorry." She added, "It shattered our lives." Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of Jamilla Millie Smith. Anyone with information related to this case should contact the Aiken County Sheriff's Office or submit a tip online at www.aikencountysheriff.net. That information is listed in the description below. For updates on this case and others, follow Hunting for Answers. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you for joining us for another episode. Until next time. Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network. For more podcasts from the Black Effect Podcast Network, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.